catch up. It's been a while that the single's really heard a lot from you. You did a single or two. You got a single out. You kind of took a break from really being out in the public eye.
Yeah.
Handful of interviews, but you're kind of back and putting out music. I know you're not such of a looking for the whole big rock star thing. You're a musician and a performer, and you just want to write some good music and get it out there. I
That's
think it's
exactly that's exactly right. I took a long break, I guess, I don't know, from music. I did some stuff in my old band Trickster back in, mid 2000s and this is, 2015, 16, 17, somewhere there. And then I was just kind of just took a break from everything. And honestly, the song that I put out in May, the song Around Again,
Mhm.
um, I that was never my intentions to do that. I had written it with a good friend of mine, and it was an older song I had, and we finished it up. And the thought process was, let's finish this song, let's push it out there, and see if we can get somebody, some good big national act to record it, and they can have it. And I found out real quick that's not that easy to do.
Well,
Uh,
you know why? Because there's good money, and everyone's had that idea
yeah,
for like
yeah,
six. Because that's where Willie Nelson started that way, right? Write a couple
yeah.
songs in Nashville and have a couple people do it, and you know,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he was doing that back, what, late 50s. Where he wrote "Crazy" and Patsy Cline did it, and it blew up. And that was
a whole
a
bunch of things. You got to write the songs, the hits, then you got to not pay the taxes, and the IRS has come after you, and you have to have a comeback. There's a lot for you to do.
yeah. Oh, no two ways about it. So when that became a lot harder than I expected, I just wasn't going to do anything with it. And my buddy said, the guy I wrote it with, this guy Rooster, he said, "Why don't you just put it out there? No expectation. Just people probably want to hear from you." So I said, "All right, I'll do that." And surprisingly enough, it got a lot of good reaction. So I said, I guess I'm back in a way. Recording and writing is always fun.
Yeah.
Traveling and, every weekend all over the planet is not so much fun. But this last song, Save Me, actually has been recorded for about 5 years. Recorded with my old drummer, Mark Scott from Trickster, buddy of mine, Jordan Ziff, who is known for being in Marty Friedman's band. He was in Rat for a minute.
After yeah, the controversial rat.
Yeah, the revolving door of Rat. And another buddy of ours, Jacob Goldberg. And it was just a jam song because we had a little room in my old house, drum set and guitar, bass rigs, and we were just jamming. We have a whole bunch of ideas, but this one we finished and it's been sitting around for about 5 years. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to push that one out there too. Why not?
Almost sounds like a band to me than a Pete Lauren solo thing. Is that
Yeah, you know what? It
you're
was
straddling it kind of?
it was even a little bit more than that. We had put together a set list. We were going to do some local places. We were going to do some covers, some like, different stuff like, Billy Joel, Elvin Bishop, stuff like that.
Right.
And it just never materialized. But we did get some cool recordings out of it. And this track Save Me is one of them.
Oh, cool. I'd love to hear you actually do some Elvin Bishop. I fell in love with your voice.
Yeah,
I think
that's exactly it. Yeah.
that is, I never really thought about that. It's like, that is so good with your voice. Because every time you hear a song, you're like, I'd love to hear that with some voice.
Yeah. What a
So
great song.
yeah, it is a good
Yeah.
song. Like,
Yeah.
a good lesson in songwriting. Like, if you sat down and said a songwriting class, that would be
Yeah.
one of the songs I'd put in and say, this is how a good song's written.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Certain things. So with that, but now you're doing kind of more of the just your singles, or it's like, where are you at? I know you don't want to be like a touring musician because I mean, there's a big burnout from it, and that's not who you are right now so much. How do you
Yeah.
think you can be able to manipulate? Like, what do you think like you want? Like, where's your threshold? You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't, that's a great question. I'm not really sure. I'm just kind of at this point just pushing the stuff out there and just see what happens. I don't have any expectations, which is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And just kind of see what happens. People were talking to me about, what if people start asking you to do shows, this, that, and the other thing. I said, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. That's all. So right now, no real expectations. Going to push this next single out. I got a video with it. Everything drops on October 11th. So we'll see what happens.
The song,
Say again?
the song that you're releasing,
Yeah, Save Me.
Save Me.
Yeah.
Anything about it you want to talk about? Because I haven't actually heard it myself for this. So, like, to promote it, like, what do you we're looking at the history,
You know, it was, again, it was just like a jam song, and we completed it. And then when it came for me to start writing the lyrics, this was right around the time when Chris Cornell died.
oh,
And you know, I have always liked him. I had I think it was his first solo record, Euphoria Morning. And when I moved out to Arizona in '98, that's when that record came out. So it's one of those records for me that brings me right back to a certain time. I love how that all works, you know? And it hit me a lot harder than I thought it was going to about him passing. It was just the whole story of it. I had friends inside that camp who gave me a
right.
little bit, you know, more insight into it.
But you're
And
also a dad,
it just
right?
kind of,
Dad.
yeah,
He's a
yeah,
dad. You
yeah,
feel it, like you're like, oh my,
yeah.
it's like a dad. It's not just a talented musician. It's
He was, you
a
know,
dad, and that's
yeah. And he was, it seemed like he was a proud dad, you know, and he was on the phone with his wife the night it happened. And, you know, what were they talking about? How deep and dark was that conversation? Or maybe it wasn't. She just had no clue. I don't know. But that just kind of hit me there. And lyrically, that's what it's about.
cool. Very interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
so when you do that so the video itself, is it a concept video? Is it a lyric video?
No, it's the video itself is a complete left turn from the lyrics. And I did that on purpose just because, you know, the song's funky, it's groovy. I gotta send it to you.
Please.
Lyrically, it's dark because it's a dark subject, but I didn't want the video to be that way either. I didn't want to start bringing in anything to do with Chris Cornell because I just didn't want people to start attacking me for that. It's complete left field. It's basically a person who's just loves music, dancing around, getting off to a song they like, lip syncing, air guitaring, and that's it.
What's interesting, and this is kind of like for a musician like you, so obviously everyone knows you're in Trickster and
Yeah.
I like to like
Yeah.
that. To Steve and has been on my show a few times and PJ and stuff. A couple of the guys. But what's interesting for you at this point is you've taken some space, and as a singer, you can kind of do, and this got nothing to do with bad or negative Trickster, like almost do like what a performer like Chris Cornell did. He did Audio Slave, he did solo, like he just did every genre. Like when you heard Audio Slave, you totally changed his dynamic. Of the band was Rage, but then he sang.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't sound like you know what I'm saying. Like as a singer and a songwriter, you can kind of come into a new situation and still keep your identity and be a band and a solo, and then do another. You know, if
Right.
and someone like you at this point, you've had a kind of a break, almost like a cleansing of the palate.
Yeah.
Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So now you can be like, I can do this with the band. These guys Steve been playing with. I can do a separate solo thing. I got my buddies in Nashville. You could actually do separate pieces because
Yeah.
your identity is a little bit separate, not 100%, because you still have people that you're do from Trickster and
Right. 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 Right.
aside from any band that's any music you've done in your life that's been successful is just a plus. I mean,
Oh, no, absolutely. No,
I
no two
think
ways about it.
you know what I'm saying, but like for some people, like, oh, it's a crossover by a bear. It's not. It's to be identified as anything
No,
positive. It's like awesome.
you know, no, and absolutely. And uh, a friend of mine said this to me when I was going to put out the first song, you know, and it started doing, you know, pretty well. A lot of people were paying attention to it. It's like, you know, if I was just somebody that never had my past and put that out, it would, you know, it'd be
Right.
extremely difficult to get any attention. My buddy said, you got to remember, you're grandfathered in.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Have a built-in audience. It's at least going to be interested at least one shot. You
Right.
know, some people
Right.
have a shot.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. I'm lucky.
I mean, I can't tell you how much music I get sent to me by artists that haven't been, they're talented, super talented, but they haven't had any exposure. So at this point, no one's going to look at them, no matter how much, as big as a show is, you know, people will be like, that's nice. I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
put up,
Right.
I want to,
Right.
I'm going to put up my, you know what I'm saying? Because you've got that. And like, oh, I like Born in a Million, or I like Get Me Good. I do some, even if they don't know deep fans, they can be like, I know those two songs. I've seen
Yeah.
the radio. I know what this song is. At least you get that half a song shot.
Yeah. Isn't that awful? Right. You spend all this time recording and killing yourself and writing lyrics, and then somebody listens to it for 2 seconds and goes, nope, click.
You know, it's funny, and I've had a lot of time to think about that. I've gone back and forth on thought because I've talked to obviously hundreds of musicians and at different, you know, musical levels, and I always go back and forth. And you think about, well, I mean, one level when it really comes down to, I think you're writing. If you really, it depends on your motivation. First off, in music, at this point, if you're really just writing for yourself and it feels good to put it out there, And if you can truly be like, yeah, two people here, that's great. I already wrote it. I got it out of me. It's almost like some musical demon you gotta get out of you.
Yeah.
Don't, you're just tortured. And if you're doing that, you're just writing songs, get out. You're already, by the time the next song goes out as a single and people get it, that's great. I'm already at the next song already because this is what I'm doing. This is who I am. On that level, a lot of people are like a lot more accepting of it. But if you're writing it to a point where you want people to hear it, like I'm not saying you, I'm just saying general as a viewed people, it's torture because
Yes.
there is no get in line, earned line. It's like a nightmare. It's like a motor vehicle. You're just gonna be in line forever.
Oh yeah. No kidding, right? I mean, and you brought up a good point there as far as, me writing these songs and putting them out there. It is, I guess, in a way where I'm like, hey, this is kind of what, this is stuff I can do. I'm not just the guy from, the Give It To Me Good video. I
Right.
have a little bit, I have more to me than just that. And I want people to know that.
And now
And
if you fall off a dirt bike, it's gonna hurt your hip.
I still there's two in the garage.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's one thing I never got into and I always wanted to do. I was like, oh, I'm just so bad at driving things. I'm gonna get hurt.
Yeah. Well, I
And
ride now. I ride now with my son, my younger son,
so
and he rides pretty fast, and I try to keep up with him. I just keep saying to myself, if I fall, I'm just going to be like that piece of ice that you just drop onto the cement and just gonna shatter everywhere.
it's funny. Probably like when I was younger, I used to play soccer, and I'm not athletic by any means. But then, like my 30s and 40s, I was like, you should go back to a hobby, like whatever. I eventually did martial arts because it's way safer for me. Like but most of it's an adult soccer league. It was like 30 or 40 to like 50 or 60, like a huge range. I was like, you look
Wow.
at the bottom, and I was like, oh, I do awesome, dude. I went out there, and this is like in USA. Like I'm in New England. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome, right? I'm thinking it's gonna be soccer dance, dude. These guys were so much in shape. I got hip checked by somebody. I got a hairline fracture. Like the first like I'm
Career over.
radiation scans on it, like whatever, like hairline fracture. I was out. That was it. I was done. Like literally, these guys are like European athletes. I'm like, where do these guys even live? Like I learned my mortality very soon. I'm not good at anything. I just got to really be careful.
Yeah. Well, you got a hobby. I mean, look behind you. You got 19 guitars on the wall.
Well, like that's why I was excited to talk to you. You're just doing it because I seen one other interview you did with Sean.
Yeah,
You just kind of do it because you like music, and to me that's what it felt like the poll was, the honesty of just like you don't have expectations. You don't want to be touring on every week on the road, but if something happens, like you're saying, you know,
exactly.
you keep
Exactly.
the songwriting. I think the songwriting it sounds like is pulling you back with the desire. Like you miss, the hammer of the gods, the songwriting, and kind of feels good, feels natural.
Yeah. No, absolutely. 100%. You're right about all that. Yeah, I agree.
Man, I was awfully long-winded. Sorry, people listening.
No, it's great. They probably learned a little bit about you that they never knew.
Sometimes I try not to cover too much because if I don't want to retread. So what? Before we hop back in the music, what is the window? What have you been doing on the side time? Like, what have you been into? Like, it's always interesting to see, like, when you stop from music, what else was your other gig to do that you enjoyed doing? Like, other skill set?
Um, I love, obviously being a parent is takes a lot, takes up a lot of your time. Um, my older son's 21 now. He's living in LA working, you know, doing great. My younger son just turned 17, so he is into all the things that I was into when I was growing up, the dirt bikes and the outdoor stuff. So I spend a lot of time doing that stuff with him, which is great because I love it. But I try to spend a lot of time outside. At my house, I've got a decent sized property. There's always something breaking, something that, believe it or not, that is therapeutic for me to be out there, just whatever it is, digging in the dirt, doing that type of stuff.
Makes sense.
Um,
That's the kind of thing I was kind of getting at. Like, 'cause I usually hear like so is an artist or a chef. It's not like looking like for like what's the main money thing.
no, yeah,
What I'm saying it's like what was your
yeah,
because being a creative entity that you were for so long. I mean, you guys were trudging it out in the years you guys when you did explode, you exploded, but you guys had a few years earlier. You did have this time span of Trickster before Trickster got so big. You were a wellspring of creativity, and then to stop doing that, there's a certain point where a good break because you get burnt out.
yes,
But what are you going to do with that? Are you going to because a builder is very creative.
right,
Even if it's the same thing you're building, a different problem would happen. You got to troubleshoot it and figure it out differently. Like, or a chef, or this, or a painter, or just an amateur version. So that's what my point is. I'm like, what was the thing that kind of like allowed you to continue to be creative and you didn't even think about it. Like, oh yeah, you know,
Good point. Right, right, right. Look, a good welder, that's an art, man.
oh yeah,
Those get, so, and I have friends that do that and they love it. It's just one of those things that it's creating.
and it's fire. You could use
Yep.
fire with money.
Yep.
Like you lose so hard. I mean, how could that not be the coolest job ever, right? Like,
Yep. Exactly.
so that's cool. So, but I do think, the music world's changed so much now since you've been in it. And a guy easily like you could obviously pop into and do like corporate gigs and make some easy cash.
Yep.
A corporate gig to a month. You know what I mean? Do a couple
Yep.
covers. But for you at this point, you just want to kind of do you. So they do have like, these like a lot of rock things. We do fly things. If you got enough singles out, you would do it. I mean, you could do it that some original stuff, some covers. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
sometimes with a strong drum and doing just do Trickster stuff, which wouldn't be bad. It just depends on
Right. No, yeah, exactly.
because some artists want to go on the like your point would be like the first album. If you say you did an album, just kind of lean on your own stuff, just so you don't feel like you're an artist leaning on other stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Self type of stuff, like Chris Cornell did that, and then like later
Right.
on, other stuff from each band was starting to sneak in till like when he finally passed that acoustic album, had like a great sense of everything he's done.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's got just such a long library of stuff, so he could eventually do that, morph into that. Right. I agree. I mean, I could now if I want. I mean, I don't see, why I couldn't just put something together and just start doing weekend shows and getting on these other bills. And of course, I'd throw in a couple of Trickster songs, and then, I mean, I wouldn't see why that wouldn't be possible. It's not what I want to do,
That's my
but
point. It's not that that was what you want to do. It's not about what you can't do.
right, right, exactly. So, yeah, I agree.
Is it you just don't want to get into the circus of it, or just do a couple a year for fun?
Yeah, I just don't want it to be where it becomes like demanding, like, where like now I have to start giving up my weekends, you know, with my family or whatever, just to, leave Thursday, come back Sunday, and it's just I'm just not willing to do that at this point.
That puts you in a weird position as somebody if you said, to promote you. What I'm saying? If you
Yeah,
listen to you, you get a promotion, I get you a single, and I get you a gig. It's like
right,
gig. It's gonna help the single that we're doing. That's why you're promoting it. But then you don't want to go out and promote it,
right.
shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, it's gonna be
Yeah,
hard. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah,
that, or even to get into an artist. Like I don't know if you use iTunes or Spotify is better for some people that like singles, but to me, like if you listen to albums, you know what I mean? Like I want to have
hmm
if I download something, whatever, like a single is hard. Like in your iTunes, because you really want to hear the artist a couple songs. You have one or two singles.
yeah,
When you
yeah,
put an album, you can hear the albums.
right.
If you just have a handful of singles, it's gonna be harder for someone to do it. They'll have to throw it into like a Trickster mix or
Sure.
some or whatever the style of music is probably you want to match it. So how far you go is going to make it a challenge of yourself of how you're going to promote yourself. You know what I mean? By not wanting.
Yeah. Yep. I agree 100%. So, I mean, like I said, I'm just kind of just throwing stuff out there and just, I'm not expecting anything in particular. Just kind of going with the flow, just riding the wave. I'm enjoying the process of recording and creating and just letting people know, like, I'm just not that guy who sang the songs with that early 90s rock band. It's good enough for me.
Actually, they'd be a little overflow, a little crossing because Steve and PJ are playing out. They're doing
Yeah.
acoustic, and I think I just saw him build his Trickster.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not acoustic.
No, but I know, but well, I mean, Steve sings, but and it was how he has. But
Yeah.
also, it's something. It's even hard for a band to get away from it, even if they're not billed as that. Like I'm sure Stephen Piercy used to come as Stephen Piercy, but back in the day they'd call say Rat, and now he's
Hmm.
saying that or whoever
Yep.
you're saying. Like even they can say the voice guys of Trickster, Flyer, the guy who's just Flyer singing like I don't know. I want people to say Trickster. You know what I mean? So you can't always
Right.
do that title anyhow.
Right.
But if you guys are both in the market, it would be interesting.
Right. Well, and then plenty of people have been doing that. Like, we're talking with, I mean, like, I guess until recently, Jack Russell was doing Jack Russell's Great White, and Great White's out there at the same time, and a couple of LA Guns versions out there. And then,
That's what hard. Those became really ugly.
Yeah,
Unfortunately. But I think with you guys is it could be an overlap because you'd be doing your songs and a few Trickster songs, and they're doing Trickster songs and probably maybe a couple there. See what I'm saying? And you
yeah,
got a better relationship, so it wouldn't be as so
yeah. And they do that. Yeah,
sweet.
they do that. They've got other songs infiltrate. They do a cool thing. I saw them when they were here in March. Um, they invited me to come hang out, and it was pretty interesting to sit in the back of the club and watch that for me. And then, of course, there were people there that started going, "The hell are you doing here?" And I'm like,
All eyes on you. That must have really weird.
"Yeah, it was really weird." And then I jumped up and did a few songs with those guys. It was great. It was great, and I'm glad they're doing it. I love that they're doing it. Um, Steve sings real good. PJ sings real good. It's just the whole thing's it's great. I'm all for it. A lot of people aren't you irritated. I'm like, I'm not irritated. Why would I be irritated? It's great that
I
they're
mean,
doing
you
it.
took a break too. You took a break. I don't think anybody wanted to change. Those
Yeah,
still been grinding out with different bands. Now the other bands probably didn't have as much success as they are now. So it's kind of nice to see them get the accolades because they never stopped. You know,
right. They never stopped.
grinded it out during all the low times for music. When if you
Y-
had and Trickster, no one would even talk to you, but they still kept grinding it out.
Yeah, yeah. There's something to be said for that. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, and Steve's doing his single out. I think he's just do a single every year. I'm like, dude, it's gonna be 12 years before we have an album out. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, that's bananas.
Yeah, he could probably write an album in his sleep. So
Good between that and his production and everything else he does. So it's good to see you guys, at least you three guys are getting together. And I don't
yeah,
know if there's ever gonna be a meeting of the minds with Mark and those guys. I don't see mom and dad ever getting back together in that situation. You know, it's a shame.
yeah.
There's a history, and it's a shame that things went that way.
It is. It's a shame. It's a shame for the diehard fans. I think that's the real
I
thing
think
that gets me.
also for just for the relationships you guys had.
That's true. I mean,
You guys were a band of brothers. It's just started out, and I'm not taking sides by any means. But I'm saying it's just a shame that it got to that point where the wheels fell off the wagon.
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, and then things got aired out in public, which was really
That was ugly.
awful.
Yeah, that that
Yeah,
was it was rough. But it's good
yeah,
to see you guys at least getting along and well.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Kind of Switzerland, aren't you? Because Mark's still in your life too. So you're kind of you know
Yeah,
everybody,
yeah.
which is an interesting dynamic. Um, so we have one song coming out now. Do you have other songs already recorded? Do you have a plan of like you have a couple more songs recorded or?
I have nothing else that's fully recorded. There are.
This is the most laid back music career interview I think I've ever had in my life.
It's crazy, right?
So you're like passive aggressive musician. Like, yeah, well,
Yeah. No, nothing recorded, but there's plenty of ideas and there's stuff in the works. And these days you can get stuff recorded pretty quick. So I'm not worried about that.
and the releasing also, no one even know. And that's why I'm just asking you because there's still like the waterfall thing. People do like 3 or 4 songs and then get an album. Some people release almost a whole entire album and then just collectively say, okay, it's gonna be a vinyl, it'll be a CD, but we're gonna do one song at a time, And some people do like 1 or 2 songs and then an album like they used to do it. So no one even
Yeah,
with you because you can release whenever, no one even questions it anymore.
right. Exactly.
But for people that are listening and the fans, kind of like what can they do? Because the commitment, I think the other hard thing is hard is like when you get into a show and it turns out being like halfway through the season it gets canceled, or there's like 1 or 2 episodes, and you're like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
Get ours has 1 or 2 songs. And
right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
You get invested in a musician and the artist, like waiting for an album, you get disappointed, you know what I'm saying? So for the fans to be like, oh, he's gonna have a couple songs, that's cool, but like to really pay attention to you for your next songs, because you're gonna have their attention. What are you gonna do with it?
right. Well, exactly. What am I going to do with it? I'm
How long
working on
will
that.
see it? Because if you take it for granted or whatever, it's gonna fall off, and the next time it won't be there the same. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Agreed. 100%. Yep.
So I mean, I do think you're in a good spot where you can kind of do what you want and have fun. But I do think there's gonna be a point though. You're gonna have to say, you know what? I will go out two times a month and play a show because I want to see where these songs go. As
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm saying, or you can say, you know what? This is fine. You know what I mean? I don't want to. It's not worth the trade off of my time and just being like, people just do songs and don't tour. That's half of it,
That- right. Right.
and that's fine too. So I mean, I think it could be some point if you get any kind of mild success from these singles that you're doing. Those are the choices that are going to come up fast. You got to be like, well, where am I? You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. We'll see what happens, I guess.
slippery slope, right? Because you want to get success, but then you don't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to have an opportunity to say no because it's so good, type of deal.
If it's so good, yeah, then we're talking.
I think it'd be a good trade off if you could do a couple of shows a year, something like kind of make them special. You know,
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. It's just
do something sweet like a cruise and have them pay for it, and just do the ones where you do the big shows, so you get paid vacation too. So you sing for
right, right.
45 minutes and you get the rest of the week off at the beach or something, like, you know what I mean? Get us some kind of sweet deal. You know.
True, true, true.
So I'm gonna put the links underneath the interview,
Okay.
Spotify and everything, so people can check. Go to subscribe to his YouTube, build up his count there. Um, Stream his stuff there. It's gonna be on Spotify probably, right? iTunes, every.
Oh yeah, all the streaming platforms. The video is going to be on YouTube and with my social media accounts, my Instagram, my Facebook, I'm going to be pushing everything out there. So got a lot of followers there. You and I talked about the whole TikTok thing. I'm on there, but man, it's like, being on the highway, just sitting there in a chair in the fast lane.
It's also, and I want to say this. We talk about this for a second. TikTok is hard for a performer because to perform content all the time is exhausting.
It
You can
is.
do it, but you'll drown in it, and you worry about numbers, this and that, and it just takes away from the point of just creating. And you've got to be fresh to create. And if you're worrying about TikTok, you just can't create. If you're doing TikTok creating, from a different span, but I think as a musician that wants to just focus on locking themselves in a song, and woodshedding it, and playing guitar, TikTok doesn't work for anybody. I haven't seen it last for a musician that without
Right.
having a team. And then after a while, the content gets weird if you do it a lot. I just don't see the model working.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, people use it for a lot of different things. I don't get it, but
You're right.
I'm on there. I'm on there just so nobody else goes on there and says they're me.
Good point. You reserve your spot, you say it, whatever. I think
Right.
you it's a good spot. I think you're doing this because you can do YouTube Shorts. You can go online and talk on Facebook to your fans, you know.
Right.
And like I said, the links will be here. Are you doing some? Sometimes artists, would you sing on other people's things? Like if someone reached out to like a band and said, "Hey, Pete, here's an album, here's a song." Would you sing on it? Like if people reach
I've 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 done a couple things a while ago. I don't know. I would say maybe. I don't know. It's just kind of not my thing. Um,
out,
but
because I know a lot of artists have been enjoying it lately doing that. So I figured I'd ask you because if that was something you did, we could talk
I
about
mean,
it.
if I really like the song
Mhm.
or of the songs, yeah. But a lot of times, whatever I've been approached, it's just been kind of like, yeah, that's just not me. And I'm nothing against. It's just not my
No, I get it.
type of music I like. It's not how I want to represent myself. So that goes back to me doing these songs and putting them out there. It's like, this is really who I am as a singer and a writer. Um, the Trickster stuff, I co-wrote some of those songs, but it was never something I started and then said, here, let's work on this. It was kind of like, hey, we need a melody here or a verse here. I already got this all mapped out. So I just contributed to what was already happening.
Okay.
Um, Even back then, I always had a different. I loved that kind of music, and I still do love the hard rock and metal. I mean, I'm like a diehard Priest fan and all that stuff. But I love a lot of different styles of music, and I'm kind of getting sideways here. But there's a lot of people back then who were kind of tunnel vision, and like, everything new now sucks. It's not true. There's a lot of really good music out there. And I just keep drawing from all the different places. And it's, I try to put that out in what I'm doing.
I feel like a lot of also rock from this generation, when they have gone off more solo, it's either gone folky, Americana, or countryish. Is the natural thing. I feel like maybe because at some point country music became almost like the crossover because you had the same producer for Def Leppard and Shania Twain.
Sure.
I think that was just the fireworks. Else, and you're like that new they called new country many years back was almost like the next version of the rock metal. That you know what I mean. So the
Yeah.
transition was kind of an easy transition for a lot of musicians.
Yep.
Change it up. So I think there's a good mix now. And I think to that's a good, but that makes a better market for you and for a couple other musicians I
Oh
know.
yeah,
They do
yeah,
music now from what they used to do, and not against it. It's just they're doing something different, and it wouldn't be in the same record bin or it wouldn't be in the same genre,
right,
but it
right.
is different. And I think it's still a good thing for you to do, as an artist. And I don't encourage people to check it out. I mean, I've heard I'll have to hear the other song, but I've heard your other song. I like it. And I'm really interested in hearing more of your stuff. And I want to encourage
Yeah,
people to follow you.
I'll make sure you get everything.
Hopefully, you'll do a couple more songs too to keep people interested.
Yeah, no, I'm going to for sure. I mean, they're just I've got momentum going now to just get out of the vehicle and just stop now would be stupid. It's too easy to record it, number one, and it's too easy to get it out there. So might as well just do it.
Well, I think you could easily just be a musician that just records and puts it out there.
Yeah,
Like, you do like a recorded stuff and put it out there, like our rehearsal or a live stream or something. If you just want to play live, not have to go home at the end of the night, you know what I mean? So the fans can see you play live once. I mean, there's still other options you could do without having to go back to that route again.
right. True. Yep. Absolutely.
I think there's if you build a fan base, they're gonna want to see stuff like you would. Yeah.
I
So
agree. Yep.
yeah, so October 11th, Save Me,
October 11th. Yep. Save me. Yep.
bookmark it and check it out. Pete, I want to thank you for being on the show. Maybe get some more songs out. We'll come back on and we'll discuss more. All right, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.